Hey everyone, welcome to the Ask Nicole weekly live stream where I, Nicole, talk about things related to tech and marketing with the eye of the small business owner in mind. My name is Nicole Willette. I own Breaking Even Communications, which is an online marketing company that's existed for about 14 years. And I have a couple of other coworkers. We work mainly with small businesses, but other kinds of businesses as well. And on this channel, I like to talk about more broad sort of marketing ideas, but I also like to talk about some tactical things. I noticed when we talked about Matt Baya came on the broadcast a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about the superhuman email interface, and that one seemed to go over well. So I thought I would try a solo broadcast. It's not going to be, I'm not as technical as Matt is, but hopefully I can still talk about this in an educated way with you. So this is a productivity software called Rize. And if you look up Rize, there's tons of stuff that is branded as Rize. This is Rize.io. So you know you're doing a cool internet startup when your website address is .io. So what this is there's a Windows application, but it seems like primarily it was developed for Mac users. It also works in browser. So like if you were mainly in Chrome and you wanted to keep track of things in Chrome, you could do that. I just use it on my Mac to track my entire computer. I can't speak to the Windows interface necessarily, but I've been using the Mac interface for about 2 months. Now, a little story is that, I've run my own business for 14 years, and I like to think that I'm a relatively productive person. But at the same time, I watch a lot of TikToks, and I was wondering, like, okay, am I focusing? Am I getting distracted? Do I have ADHD? I took an online test, a clinical whatever test. I don't, but I still think that there's something going on there. That's another broadcast, but I just wanted to see, like, okay, I feel like I work all day, and I do have a list of things to show for it because I do have a project management system. But in terms of what I'm doing at certain times, in terms of my more productive certain days of the week, that kind of thing, that I don't really know. And I tried time trackers like Clockify and what's the other one I tried? But you have to manually put your time in, right? And because I have to manually do it, I forget to do it. So the idea of this being an automated time tracking is really helpful. So the main questions I wanted to answer is, what kinds of things am I working on during the day? How much time is my email taking up versus client work? How much, am I interacting with, people I work with? Which websites or applications are interrupt me the most and distract me, that kind of thing. And, the kind of sub question of that is that I have this process where I work from home 2 days a week. I think the reason for that is that I spent a large part of my 20s and parts of my 30s feeling like I was both a bad business owner and a bad, home person. I grew up with a stay-at-home mom. My dad went to work. And so I was holding myself up to the standards of making enough money, like I'm a full time breadwinner, and keeping a house and home like I'm a full time house manager. And so, what I decided to do when felt like I could control my time a little bit, which has just been in the last couple of years, is I started this policy where I work from home 2 days a week. That allows me to do things like if I want to bake something or meal prep, if I want to clean, I can take breaks by doing things around my house and still feel like I'm getting work done. And at the same time, I still, a majority of the time, have this other place I can go, which is at my office right now, where I can do meetings and things like that. So I wanted to answer the question because I felt like I was more productive when I worked from home. It felt that way. I was more relaxed about it anyway, but was I actually more productive? And so I thought if I ran this, I could figure that out. So without further ado, let's kind of take a look at the interface and talk a little bit about what it's like. So if you look in the upper corner of my screen, the upper right corner, I'm kind of hovering over it. There is a little R icon. And this allows me to access the dashboard of my application whenever I want. Now, full disclosure, you're gonna see my work hours at 3 hours today. I went to the dentist part of the day. So, and obviously there's still more of the day to go, but in case you're wondering why that number is a little low. But as you see here, there's a little ticking timer, and what it's doing is it's saying like, okay, you have been working in this session without stepping away from your computer for the last 2 hours and 6 minutes. And by the way, by default, when I leave my computer and it kind of goes to sleep, that's when it counts that I'm away. It figures that I'm on a break, right? And we see here a list of items, of time stamped and tabs that were open. Now, obviously, I have more than one tab open, but whatever project is in front of my eyes is what it counts. So right now I'm in StreamYard, so that's what it's counting right now. Now, as you see with StreamYard, it is counting this as client work. I've been logged in for 11 minutes, and the default thing here is client work. Now, I do StreamYard for clients, but let's say, this one is not really client work, right? Because I'm doing this for myself. If I wanted to, I could change this to, and they give you some default categories here. I could change this to marketing, right? Because this is like a marketing tool that I'm doing for myself. And so I'm going to just keep it there. And I've just classified this particular session as marketing work because I'm not doing it for a client. So you do have control over how different things are classified. And obviously it's going to learn over time based on how you classified something. Now, we're seeing here a daily view. It will prompt you if you want to. I have them turned off, but there's these notifications. It really wants you to take a break. Like right now it's a little mad at me. I've been working for 2 hours without a break. It really wants me to take a break. So it will prompt you to take breaks and things like that because they're very big on like not overworking, which kind of makes sense. Now, you can make your own categories as well. It gives you some default ones. What's hilarious is it has a social media category, which accounts Facebook and LinkedIn as social media, but Twitter has its own category. So you can use their predefined categories or you can make your own. In my case, I feel like I wrote client work. I did this a couple of months ago. I think I'm the one who wrote client work as a category. And what I can do at the end of every day is I can see like, okay, how did I spend my time? What percentage of my day was spent on these different activities, right? And, if there's anything uncategorized, so for example, I look here, Katie and Outdoor Adventures. Okay, that's client work. So I can put, I like client work because it shows up right at the top. I can say change for this instance only or change here and moving forward anytime I'm on this website is client work. And I'm going to click save. And so I'm going to slowly, if I do this over time, I'm going to run out of things that are uncategorized. Also in this view, you see that I've got the daily view, but I also have a weekly and a monthly view that shows me a little bit more information. Now let's go back to the day because that's, less, actually not this particular, let's go to the week view because I haven't really done much today except check my email and go to the dentist. But if we look at the breakdown of time, we see the total time spent, and then we see the focus time. What percentage of the time was I focused? What percentage of the time was I in meetings? And what percentage of the time did I have breaks? And so what it'll do over time is send you, if you want, a report over email, a daily and a weekly report. You can just get the weekly report if you want. I think I'm going to do that. I was just getting both for this presentation. So this is what that looks like. So every week you get a PDF and it's like, here was your productivity, right? And you go through and it shows you like, okay, this is how much you worked. This is your 4-week average of work. Yeah, I kind of started part-time. And these are your work hours by day. Now, one of the things I wanted to test, remember, was, are my work from home days more productive? So I work from home Mondays and Thursdays. So if we look Monday, I definitely had less work hours, but Thursday was about on par with the other days. So, okay. It shows me also times of the day that I spend working. And this makes sense because, there's certain times of day that you as a person are more productive. I'm more of a morning person, but you might be more of a night person. You might be more of a like an afternoon person, and you can kind of see trends here. Now it's funny because I almost want to correlate this with like how well I sleep, because I find if I work past 9 p.m., I don't sleep as well. It's almost like I'm too like wired up. I'm thinking about things, so I try to wind down by 9 for myself. And then it shows rest versus overworking. So we see Monday I got a lot of rest, but not the Thursday. So anyway, I would have to look at more than this. We see the breakdown, and you significantly decrease the time spent outside of focus sessions. Okay. So this means that you're operating more efficiently at work than usual. So I just grabbed this report. This was like the third or fourth week I was doing it. Because when you look at things, right, you almost, it's like, oh, you did well, or oh, you did, you kind of, it makes you think about it by getting these reports. And then it shows categories of stuff. Now, I know what you're thinking, because I was thinking the same thing. How would it count an in-person meeting? And it does do that. The problem is when you have an in-person meeting. So like, for example, this morning I had a meeting with a client. It was scheduled, and she like had a calendar invite, and I accepted it. It counted that as a meeting, as an in-person meeting, even. And what happened was we were going to have it, and then I was like, oh, we already talked about this yesterday. And so at the last minute, I just sent her a quick message and said, hey, do you want to just skip the meeting? We talked about stuff yesterday. She's like, oh yeah, that's fine. But it's funny because it's integrated with my Google Calendar. And so it had pulled in that I had this meeting with this person, even though I didn't have it, because it assumed it was an in-person meeting. Meanwhile, I scheduled a phone call this morning, and I didn't send a calendar. I didn't make it like a meeting with an invite. I didn't invite the client because I was literally just calling him, but I just blocked off the time in my calendar with the person's name. It did not count that as a meeting. So there is a way to manually add those things, but obviously the idea with this being automated is that you don't want to have to do that. So just wanted to throw that out there. So so this is May 9 to May 15. Now I didn't take any recent weeks because I've been traveling for work and also moving. So I figured that was not necessarily the most indicative thing. So this was like 2 weeks after the report I just showed you. And so what you can do over time is you can see, when it shows the arrow was up or down, how it's trending. And we see here that, yeah, Monday and Thursday. Yeah, Thursday I worked a little less, and the other days, although Friday and Monday look really similar. So I will say, if I say like, am I more productive when I work from home? I would say I'm equally, it looks like I'm relatively equally productive. The days that I work less is honestly the days I've been taking my dog to the dog park, because that's like 2 hours out of the day. And I try to go there when her dog friends are there, which is around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So you'll see some gaps around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, a couple of days, like right here on Thursday and right here on Monday. That's me taking my dog to the dog park. So now you know. And, we see resting versus overworking. So it points out when you overwork too. It's not just like, oh, you should be working more, you should be more productive. It really wants you to like work 40 hours a week and get rest. So it really tries to sort of like look at your time and give you smart recommendations and show you how you're spending your time. Now, one feature I've not taken advantage of is this projects. If you want, you can create projects within the time tracking. And so like, let's say you have a client that have and you do billable hours with them, you could, track, for client A as a project. I just didn't do that, but that's why there's a big gaping hole there. And so what it's showing me here is that my focus is really good. Now, obviously, I don't. The thing is, what I would really like is I see what my focus is. I don't know. Of course, maybe this is me being oddly competitive, but I just don't know what this scale means. It's a rating, right, out of 100. So I'm 85 out of 100. But like, does anyone get to 100? Does the average person who uses this app, are they able to jump 10 points, 20 points? That I would like to know. So anyway, these are the reports look like. A quick glance, you can kind of see when, there could be something better. It points out things that you find that are distracting. Obviously, I have to go, and me looking up things on Google is probably me working. Slack also, we use it internally. Instagram, something I help manage for people, my email, and a design thing that we use in-house. So those are all work things. So while they're distractions, it just means they interrupted what I was doing, not that they're actual distractions. So, and it measures my meeting time, how much time I spend meeting with people. Obviously, it counts Zoom as a meeting, and it just shows some of the people who I've met with. So yeah, all that to say, you get these reports in PDF. It also has a data export. I thought I would show that to you. Like, this was a data export from, I don't know, there's a lot of lines, but we see here, like, oh, I was looking at this email about brand building, and I was looking at it from this timestamp to this timestamp. So we'd have to like probably create a column that did some math here. I don't know, like, it's a fine data export, but like, it doesn't, you would have to work with this to make this actually usable, but they will let you export your data, and then you could use it if you wanted to create some different visualizations or create something that was more in spreadsheet format versus the PDF format, so that you could track things over time. So yeah, just I wanted to make sure that I hit everything. So the interface obviously looks nice. People really like it. And it integrates with Google Calendar, so it can tell when you have meetings. You can customize categories, the reports, project tagging. Okay, yeah, I covered all this. Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure. So yeah, so in terms of, this as a tool, I will say, like, what I'm working on during the day, it has showed me like how much time I spend on email versus client work versus, messaging and stuff like that. I wish there was a way I could compare it week to week instead of just comparing it to the previous week. Wish I could see kind of more large scale trends, but I can see a little bit of the categories on things I'm working on a little better. If I really wanted to, what I could do is open up our project management system, look at all the tasks I've completed, and make myself look at it and be like, look at all the things you did. But I'm really bad about doing that, even though I tell other people to do it. So I feel like, it has helped me answer this question. And I think it has helped me answer the work from home days. I was worried that I was thinking that I did a lot of deep work, and I kind of do, but I do have more time flexibility. So I do things like bake bread or take my dog to the dog park. So I wouldn't say those things are unproductive, but they're not productive in like the work sense. So what do I like about the Rize.io app? I think the interface is nice. It's easy to turn on and off. Now, some people did complain, I was reading online, that it's a bit of a data hog on your computer. I just got a relatively new computer a couple of months ago, so I'm not really noticing that, but it is something that a couple of people have brought up in different online forums, is that, it's kind of chugging along in the background. Obviously, it's automatically tracking everything. So, if you do have a computer with like low bandwidth or whatever, that might be a thing to think about. But the interface is nice. It's easy to figure out. Like, it was very easy for me to add my Google Calendar in. Like I said, it took me a while to figure out the meeting thing. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, how does it know like if I'm in a meeting or not? Right, because I'm invited in the calendar. That's how it knows it's a meeting. I think that's how it does it, because I was just looking at a few meetings I've had recently to see like what the difference between the one that tracked was and wasn't. So the interface does look good. And, I will say the daily reports are like a bit much, but the weekly reports are nice and allow you to see patterns in your work habits, or, like I said, things that might be distracting you, or, just kind of what you're spending your time on. Because in my world, it's, I have to communicate with people, right? But I'm not necessarily getting paid to do that. I'm getting paid to like make sure that we get our client work done. And so my goal is 3 billable hours a day if we can, but ideally 2, 2 to 3, and then we're doing okay. So a lot of stuff I do isn't billable. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, wow, if I made X amount of money per hour, I'd be super productive. But the thing is, your clients are do not want to pay you to check your email. They do not want to pay you to send invoices. They do not want to pay you to do your taxes. They do not want to pay you to, I don't know, any number of things that you have to actually do to run your business. Like nobody wants to pay for that, but they do end up sort of indirectly paying for it. I do like how customizable it is. I like that you can make your own labels. So like me making client work and just saying, you know what, I don't want to track individual projects. I just want to see like, when am I working toward billable stuff and when am I not? It's like I said, pretty easy to customize. I'm not sure. I wish I could customize the interface like a little bit. I'm not a dark interface kind of person. I feel like it reminds me of like this angsty guy I knew in college who like designed his own websites, and they all had like a black background and black and white photography, and he was very artistic. I don't know. I'm just not a dark interface kind of person. I wish there was a couple of skins available. Like you're paying for it. So I feel like that would be straightforward. It's a little complaint. I'm not saying it's an actual complaint, but throwing that out there, and I will say for me, I use Google Calendar and it integrates with Google Calendar. So that's great. But if you used a different kind of calendar, if you wanted it to integrate with something else, it doesn't seem like there's, a ton of integration at this time. So additional cons, besides the ones I've mentioned as part of the pros, are that, you can manually add the in-person meetings, but the whole point of an automated tracking system is like, you don't want to do that. But my main thing with it too is that there's no phone interface. So sometimes, for example, like I spent half an hour on the phone with a client today. According to my computer, I wasn't doing anything, but according to my phone, I kind of was. So I wish there was some kind of Rize app that went with my phone. That way I could sort of cross-reference and say like, okay, when I was on my phone, like these times I was making calls and things like that. I also think I get a lot more distracted on my phone. So I read a couple of places there was like reviews posted about a year ago that said like the app might be incoming, or there was some like I couldn't find it. I went to the app store and I looked. There's a ton of things called Rize, and none of them seem to be this app. So, and the final con is that it's kind of expensive. It's $14 a month. They do give you a 2-week free trial, so take advantage of that by all means. But if you pay a year in advance, it's $9.99 a month. But like I don't know. I was like, I don't know if I like it enough to pay a year in advance. Like, I just want to kind of see for a little bit longer than 2 weeks how this thing is going to work. I was also thinking I would be making this video, so I wanted a little bit of data to work on that. I will say, and this is something a couple of people brought up that I was online, is that there is something called rescue time that people say is sort of a less slick, and by slick I mean interface. It seems like it does have a lot of functionality, but I haven't interacted with this. But it is much less expensive. It's like $6 a month instead of $14, or $6.50 a month, yeah, instead of $14.99. So it's like half the price. And it does say that it's both Mac and Windows compatible. And it does have a similar thing where it has the sort of desktop application. It might also work in browser, but it seems like it seems like it gives you the guidance while you work thing does seem to be unique, because with the Rize thing, it's not like it prompts me. It says when I need a break or something, but it doesn't say, oh, hey, Nicole, you're really on a roll with focus. Good job. Like, so that's it. I don't get that feedback in the moment. I get kind of the data afterward to give myself the feedback, or I get the feedback afterward in the daily or weekly report. But getting it in the moment, I'm not sure if it would be distracting or not. But it is something that seems unique to the rescue time thing. So, if you try one of these, let me know how it goes. I feel like there's just so much to do and be distracted by. And sometimes when we feel like we're ineffective, maybe a tool will tell you that you're actually more effective than you think you are. And, if you're asking these questions about you you can't manage what you don't measure. And this kind of app sort of proves it. So thanks so much for watching. I would love to know if you like these more sort of technical or software-y kind of broadcasts. It's something I can definitely talk more about if you do like it. And if you enjoy this channel, I do hope you consider subscribing or liking or following wherever you're watching this now. In particular on YouTube, we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers so I can monetize the channel and do some other things, like I can put status updates and things like that on the YouTube channel once we get to that point. So really appreciate it if you would consider that. You can also go to YouTube and also the website where things are categorized. So like if you wanted to, watch videos about social media marketing, or if you wanted to watch, the Nicole Reacts videos where I react to online marketing gurus, those playlists or categories on the website can help you find those kind of things. Have a great rest of your day, and hopefully half of your mouth isn't numb like mine is. And I will see you next week with some other exciting tech or marketing topic. And share this with a friend if you like it. All right. Have a great day. See you next week. Bye.